How's it going, everyone? Mike again here doing another game unboxing. Today I picked up Star Wars The Force Awakens beginner game. This is from Fantasy Flight, and it's the newest beginner game they've released for a Star Wars role playing game. The main reason I wanted to get this is it has a fold out galactic map. I have the core rulebook for Edge of the Empire, Age of Rebellion, and Force and Destiny, and there's just a map in the book, so it's kind of like between two pages. This is actually a fold-out map. So I'm going to go ahead, get this open, and then we're going to show you the components that you get with the Force Awakens beginners game. All right, get this plastic off here. So there we go. Pull all the stuff out of it. So where's that? I'm probably going to keep that so when I do store it, it'll still have its maintain its shape. So let's see what all we get in this beginner game. So here's the Star Wars RPG dice. These are custom dice that are used for the game. There's D6s, D8s, and D12s, I believe. And each one has different symbols. So there's success, failure, advantage, threat, triumph, and despair dice. Here's the rulebook. This is actually what you read second, so I'm trying to do these in order. Okay, so we have just the basic introduction to the RPG. Tells you what an RPG is, gives you an example of some play, gives you a possible interaction between players and the GM. And the mission has the discovery of Jakku. We'll take a closer look at all this stuff once I switch the camera over to the next angle. But this is the first part, the first book. We then have, these are all the character sheets. Here. We have the adventure book. This will guide you and your players through the beginning adventure. And it gives various rules, references, and what you should read to the players depending on the situation. And in the back, there's like a chart of the dice and what each die does and what each symbol means. And then thirdly, we have the rulebook, which is just like a portion of the rulebook. So like with any other starting set for an RPG, you get a fraction of the rulebook. This is enough rules to probably cover anything that would be arise in the actual game. Next up, we have all the character sheets. These are actually, here's the map. Nope, that's not the map. This is over Heroes. That's just an insert right there for Edge of the Empire, Age of Rebellion, and Force and Destiny. Grab. Here's the map. Here's a map of, this is the Starlight Wanderer. This is part of the adventure. That nice map there. And you have a nice fold-out, I don't know if you can see that, fold-out galactic map. This was the main selling point for me on this one because all the other maps in the books are just spread across a couple pages. This makes it a little bit easier to find stuff, a little bit bigger, and you don't have in the book, in the main rule book, a lot of the stuff that's in the center is kind of like between spine. It's kind of hard to read. So there's the galactic map and the map of the ship that you'll be adventuring on. It's pretty cool. Fold that up, and now we have our character folios. So these are not just character sheets, these are actually like portfolios you would use in the game. And the nice thing about this is all the stats are laid out. There is a sheet, and it will actually tell you when to turn the page, because the The GM will instruct the players when they turn the page, and basically, once you turn the page, it'll tell you, it'll guide you on how you level up the character. So you get new skills on that page, and then over here, if you want to run the character differently, you can assign your own skills. They give you a preset of skills to use, and then there's that character's backstory. So this is Fira, or Fyra, not sure how you pronounce it. She's a soldier. We have Bormo, the colonist. There's his story on the back. And again, all the stats are laid out for you. All the weapons and equipment that he has on him are laid out as well. It tells you what you need to use those weapons. We have a Harley. Harley? I'm not sure how you pronounce that. That's an ace. So it looks like this is actually combining characters from Edge of the Empire and Age of Rebellion, which is pretty cool. We have Tiris, the Explorer. And for example, in the weapons thing, he has a heavy blaster pistol. It gives you all the information about that blaster pistol. So it's a ranged light weapon. It has a medium range. It does 7 damage. And its dice pool, which is this right here, it tells you what you need to roll. You're going to roll 1 yellow and 2 green against whatever the difficulty of your check is. So with these dice, the green dice are ability dice. The purple dice are threat die, or like what you use to roll against when you're trying to do something. The yellow dice are proficiency, so if you have a skill in something, you usually get a yellow die. We have blue setback dice and black, or not blue setback, blue boost dice and black setback dice. And then there's the force die as well, which probably doesn't come into play too much in this game, but it's used to set up the destiny pool. And finally, and what have we here? Final Fantasy Flight Games catalog. Not just for Star Wars, but there's some Star Wars stuff in here. Descent, all the other games that they produce. They make some really good games. And finally, for this game, we have all of the character tokens. They give you tokens to use on the map. So, for example, here's a couple stormtroopers. I believe I believe that's Captain Phasma right there. So Captain Phasma maybe makes an appearance. Some different pilots, and all of these. And here's right here, and right here are the Destiny tokens. So these flip over from light side to dark side, and dark side to light side, depending on what the players do. Players get to flip Destiny points, flip light side points over to the dark side, and then when they're on the dark side, the GM can use them to do stuff. These can give you like an improved check on something. They can give you a boost die, things like that. And the GM uses the dark side dice to do bad stuff. It maybe makes enemies get to take an extra maneuver, things like that. So we're going to get the camera switched over, and we're going to just quickly look through some of these things. So here's all the entire, like the rule book, and we'll be back in just a moment with this. Hello everybody, welcome back. First thing we're going to take a look at is the actual dice for the Star Wars role-playing game. So these are the green dice. These are your ability dice. You roll these in conjunction with sometimes possibly yellow dice. You form your dice pool depending on what skill you're trying to use. Normally, the starting amount of dice in your dice pool for any ability will be tied to your characteristic. So, for example, in the Edge of the Empire game I was in, I was a human doctor, so I had 3 in intelligence. So anytime I would do an intelligence check, or a skill that was based in intelligence, I would roll at least 3 of these green dice. The next die is the threat die. So these are what you generally roll against. The GM will tell you how many of these to use. Usually, like an easy check might be 1 purple, an average check will be 2, a hard check will be 3, and so on. Next up, we have the proficiency die. You get 2 of these. You use these if you have a rank in a skill. So, for example, my doctor, I actually had 3 yellow. But for example, let's say I only had 2 ranks in medicine. with 3 intelligence. I would still roll 3 dice, but I would roll, since I have 2 ranks in medicine, I would take 2 of the green dice out and replace them with these yellow dice. These yellow dice have more good effects on them. They also have Triumph, which is essentially like a critical success. I'm not sure if that's going to really good to zoom in well, but it looks like a lightsaber essentially. That's Triumph. That's basically a critical success. That's very good if you get that. Next up, we have I'm not sure what they call it, but it's like basically the enhanced threat die. So depending on what you're rolling, let's say you're rolling against, say you're doing a check here. So let's say you roll 2, but for some reason the GM gives you a red. You then roll this with whatever your ability dice are, and these have more like, bad symbols on them than the normal ones do. And these dice also feature the despair symbol. That triangle-looking symbol right there is despair, and despair is essentially a critical failure. All right, next up we have the boost die. These are blue dice. They have success and advantage on them. You take these, for example, let's say you do a maneuver to aim. Whenever you aim as one of your maneuvers, you would take a boost die. For example, let's say I have 2 green for, let's say my ranged light is only at 2 green, and I aimed. So I would then roll this against whatever the GM said. Let's say it's an average gun check, and then I would just take all these, need to move these out of the way, and roll all these, and then I would take the symbols, and you would cancel them out. So that has nothing on it, so that's out. That's a success, that's a threat, that's a success, and that's blank. So my final pool would be 2 successes to 1 threat. So whatever I was shooting at got hit. However, since I have threat, it means that something bad happens in that situation. Let's say I shoot the stormtrooper, or whatever I'm aiming at. Let's say I shoot the stormtrooper. However, as he's getting shot, he radios for backup, and more stormtroopers come out. Things like that. And the opposite of threat is advantage. If I roll that, I would still have hit my target, and then I would get a beneficial thing happening to me. The characters usually pick what the advantage does, and the GM will usually pick what threat does. Speaking of that, we also, the opposite of boost, we have our setback dice. So setbacks are, given by the GM generally. For example, let's say I'm trying to shoot at a stormtrooper, and the stormtrooper's in cover, so I'll still do my normal check. Let's say I didn't aim. So let's say it's an average check. So 2 purple, 2 green, and since the stormtrooper is in cover, I'll take a setback die, which will make the check a little bit more difficult. So you roll them all up, and let's see what we have here. We have 2 threat, success, advantage, and a hit. So failure counters that success. Threat counters that advantage. So here we have 1 hit, 1 threat. This advantage on this die gets canceled. It's kind of hard to see, but there's that one has 2 symbols. Top being success, the bottom being advantage. So this advantage will be canceled out. So I would still get, basically my final result would be 2 success, 1 threat. And finally, we have the force die. Usually, you're going to be using this mostly in Force and Destiny, I believe. I actually haven't run a Force and Destiny game yet, but in the beginning of a session generally, a player will roll this, and this will determine the starting Destiny pool. So let's just say I rolled that, and I rolled 2 light. There's that's light. There's light side and dark side points, and that determines the starting Destiny pool with the GM. So that's a brief overview of the dice. We're going to look into the books next. So there's the Fantasy Flight catalog, like I mentioned. Just different advertisements for different games. There's Force and Destiny in there, Game of Thrones, Arkham Horror. Very cool games. So first up, we're going to look at, this is the beginner game. This is the beginning sheet you get. This just tells you what an RPG is and things like that. That just folds open, gives you a brief example. We got a picture of Rey in there as well. And then this is your title crawl for the particular adventure that you're on. It's kind of hard to read, so I'll just pop it up and flip it over. So it says, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Star Wars logo goes up. Title crawl goes up. It says, discovery on Jakku. The Galactic Empire is gone. It's let me see. It's ascent or descent. Okay. The Galactic Empire is gone. Its descent beginning with the loss of the Death Star and the Emperor. Its remnants have slunk into the shadows of the edge of the galaxy. A new republic has arisen, bringing peace to the galaxy. But in the darkness of the unknown regions, a new threat emerges: the First Order, heir to the Empire's evil plans to destroy the Republic and return the galaxy to their rule. Only the resistance led by General Leia Organa stands in their way. Even so, nobody knows the true strength of the First Order. Meanwhile, on the remote world of Jakku, a group of scavengers and desert nomads have discovered the existence of a valuable secret, one lost to 30 years. So you're looking for whatever the secret might be. That's probably the adventure you're going on. I actually haven't read the adventure books. I'm not exactly sure what that entails. Here's all of our tokens like I showed you earlier. So we have different enemies and the hero tokens and things like that. Next up we have our adventure book. So Force Begins beginner game. This is the second thing you're going to take a look at. And this will guide your players through the adventures. It gives you contents, how to use the book, and then the adventure starts, and then you just continue the adventure. Get various rule references in here as well. It'll tell you, like, here's some enemies, and this is like all their stats under here. Then this continues until the adventure is done. On the back there's a reference to the dice. After that we have the supplemental rulebook. And this just shows you basic. This goes more into depth on like the rules like soak, range bands, the talents of the characters, the gear and the equipment, which is right here. Currency, how credits work in the Star Wars universe, all that kind of stuff. So if you're running the adventure and you have a rules question, this will be the book you're going to use after that. And then we have our character folios. First we have Tyrus the Explorer. And here's his character, his basic character sheet. And then all of his equipment over here. Sorry about the glare, you can't really see what's on that side. Then we have the updated character sheet for once the character levels up. And finally, if you want to take the character continue with the character, they give you a blank character sheet as well. And here's the Explorer talent tree. There's Marley, not sure how to pronounce that. And that's an ace. Ace is usually generally was in Age of Rebellion, like an ace pilot. And there's all her stats, her skills, blank character sheet, and her talent tree. I have Bormo, the colonist. Colonist is a very cool class. I played a colonist in my Edge of the Empire campaign. Colonist, and it was a doctor. So let's see what career path this is. So here's that sheet. And then talent tree for that character. And finally we have Fira Bon, who's the soldier, which I believe is another Age of Rebellion character. And so all the information about her stats, dice pools, blank character sheet, and all that. And finally, we have the map. So here's the map of that ship. You might be starting out. There's like the cockpit's falling off. This looks like it's a Corellian Corvette because here's the cockpit. You can't really see it very well over there, but yeah, the cockpit, the remaining parts of the ship, back, and then of course this folds out to be our galactic map. So you have a nice galactic map you can take a look at. It'll show you like basically Down. Go. So gives you descriptions on the side. You can't really see, but there's Jakku, Akanda, Starkiller Base, and the car. Not sure how you pronounce that. And then here's like the different routes. This is the Hydraian Way, the trade route, Carillion Spice Trade, Carillion Run, things like that. This is a very cool map. And there's the rest of that map. So that is what you get with the Star Wars Force Awakens RPG beginner game from Fantasy Flight. That's going to do it for this video. I want to thank you for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Take care.